Hello, Mr. Riggs. Okay, there it is. There's your watch. Um, the water did a fair amount of sort of crazy stuff. You remember that this watch had pretty extensive water damage. And so we had, hang on just one second for me. I had a number of things I had to replace, but amazingly, here's the good news. For all the damage that the water did, which was significant, amazingly, the coil and the circuit were both good, which is amazing considering that the coil had a blade strike on it, and the circuit had part of it was plated in rust, but it wasn't actually running because a lot of the chunks of rust inside had migrated to the stepper motor, which is very strongly magnetic. And even though the stuff was rusty, it was still magnetic. And so that was basically, it had been stuck in place with all this sort of rusty debris. Let's see what we got here. You got old seal, old seal. There's another seal that must be in there that I'm not seeing. Okay, so here's the old crystal. Dirty, filthy old crystal. And there's a rotating ring seal. The crystal seal's in here. Got stuck. I'm not going to bother pulling that out. There's your old battery, which is junk. So the water got in through the crown, got in right through here. And then what it did is it wicked in and ran around the movement ring spring. And the movement ring, and that's all rusty and destroyed, so that's destroyed. Here's the rest of the movement ring spring. Garbage. When the water was getting through the crown, it did a bunch of stuff. This is the stem spring. It also is bad. It's mostly rusted, but the corrosion really weakened the top part of it, so it wouldn't function correctly. It wouldn't move the stem in if you pushed on it, so it's junk. But then the water, what the water did is it got into and sat around the setting mechanisms. So like the setting lever and all that stuff, which is on the calendar side, it's on the top side of the watch, and that's all this material. All of this stuff goes together. All these pieces go together. This is all part of this setting mechanism, and so you've got this is actually two pieces, believe it or not. The post there is a separate piece. That's the setting lever, and that's the lever with spring combination. This is the date correcting thing lever, and this is sort of holds everything all down with the click spring in there as well. So all that stuff was bad, but amazingly, the coil and the circuit were not bad. It was just wild. So we had all of these parts that needed to be done. I had to do a couple minor repairs. I had to work on your rotating ring because it was worn on the underside. There's a lip on the underside of the rotating ring that grips the case that holds the movement ring, this rotating ring, to the case. Before I did that, you could just put your fingernail on here and it would just come right off. So I had to work around the whole thing to get that edge to come back in so it will hold to the watch. I also had to tighten up the hole for the center wheel, which is kind of the heart of the watch. Everything runs through there. It was worn and pretty sloppy. So I got that done. I also had a fair amount of corrosion remediation. Like all the remaining parts of the stem, like the crown and the crown post and the split stem, were all plated in rust, and I wanted to but I could save them, so I worked to save them. There was also rust on the movement plate, which I worked to get out. The stem and everything was actually rusted into the case. Like I had to do surgery to get it out without basically destroying it. And I did that. But like the movement, that stem spring that I showed you that was all rusted, it had bonded itself. It had rusted to the inside of the tube, which is in here. And so I had to, it just did not want to come out. I had to really work to get that apart. It took me some time. And then I had to clean all that stuff up. I had to clean out the inside of the tube with chemicals and pegwood, and ditto for the inside of the case. There was rust on the threads inside the back here. Let's see, actually, I haven't firmed this down because I'm still adjusting. Time on it. There it is. No rust. No rust and running along. And amazingly, that blade strike right there didn't kill the coil. That's astonishing. That's really about it. All the sealing surfaces are good. They all should be fine. This is the replacement handset. Oh yes, because your handset's over here. Your old junk handset's right here. There's that one. There's one. And there's two. There's your old junk handset. But that's your original sweep. And that's a replacement genuine set of Seiko hands. I also had some additional labor in cleaning off the dial and the chapter ring because these old hands, they got all this crazy water on it and it sort of liquefied the lume, which then was sort of dripping and dropping all over the dial, and I had to work to get that off without damaging anything. You know, it's all the usual stuff. Other than that, it's ready to go. Ready to go. I'm going to adjust it for accuracy, but it's running very steadily, and we should be able to get it. I should be able to get it tuned into hundredths of a second per day. It should be quite accurate. It's running very strongly now. That's it. Okay. Thank you so much.